Hello and hi Kiba. I'm Justin, and I just wanted to start a small series within a series on my channel about Mystery Science Theater. I've been wanting to talk about it for quite some time, and I wasn't really sure how to address it actually. I had so much to say. What I decided to do is do somewhat of a countdown where I'll break down the seasons, all 10. I'm not going to include the KTMA season. I'm going to just set that aside. I'm going through 1 through 10 on Comedy Central and Sci-Fi Channel, and breaking down them season by season and letting you know which ones are my favorites and just general thoughts of the show on each episode and how this show progressed. And it did progress, actually. It's one of those rare shows that actually got better as it went on instead of the vice versa, where usually it's the opposite. I mean, Cheers was much less funnier in its last couple of years than it was during its first few years, actually, and so on and so forth, MASH and Seinfeld and all sorts of shows. But for those who are unfamiliar, I'll just give you a small breakdown. Mystery Science Theater is a brilliant show. Funniest show in the 90s as far as I'm concerned, where the creator, Joel Hodgson, playing Joel Robinson, is trapped in space on a satellite that looks suspiciously like a bone. And he is forced to watch the worst sci-fi movies, and eventually just bad movies in general, by two mad scientists. Dr. Clayton Forrester, yes, named after the War of the Worlds Dr. Clayton Forrester, and Dr. Eckhart, who eventually mysteriously disappeared and was replaced by TV's Frank. And the idea was to emotionally break him down with the worst film, almost like Monty Python's Killer Joke. The worst movie they could find, and then they'll unleash it on the world and take over. That never really panned out because Joel has a pretty good sense of humor, and in order to keep himself company, he built himself several robots. Tom Servo here, Karate Robot, Gypsy, Cambot, and the computer Magic Voice, which went on and off, wasn't always in the show, but was eventually there sometimes. And he was later replaced. Well, Joel left the show at the middle of season 5 and replaced by Mike Nelson, just playing Mike Nelson. And he was the head writer of the show and made mostly appearances during the show, specifically Torgo. And he actually kind of raised the bar a little bit. He changed the style of the show a little more aggressively at the movies, where Joel had more of a reactionary kind of sense of humor. But let me just break down a few things of what my thoughts were. I'd heard of the show, but I didn't have Comedy Central where I lived in Chesapeake. I walked into a comic book store on a boring, really rainy kind of Sunday, not really much to do, and I noticed a guy behind the counter watching a tape of Gamera. That was my first episode. It was my first episode because he was just starting to watch it, and I watched it over his shoulder for the entire time, for the entire 2-hour episode. I was just standing around in the comic book store watching this incredibly funny idea. And I actually thought the show was originally on Sci-Fi Channel. I didn't have either, but I eventually figured out through a friend of mine that they were on Comedy Central. Yeah, I mean, okay, it was pretty dorky. I'm standing around a comic book store watching MST3K, but I'm sorry, it's the smartest show of the 90s as far as humor. Yeah, there's their fart jokes, but God, there's so many smart jokes that come all at you at once. And the brilliance of the show is, the show's been off since '99, and to this day, I'm still running into references. Every so often I read something about something in history, or I see something in a movie that I instantly recognize as a reference in an episode. Like just recently I watched a part of a Woody Allen film that was had a line where he's being bugged by some guy, and I instantly recognized the line the guy was bugging him about, that was used in Death Stalker, and I never knew what the hell that was about. This show is just, it's just amazing, and what's great about it is the more you watch it, it actually gets funnier because they refer to their own episodes. High Kiba, for instance, which you've heard me probably say, is in an early first season episode. They use that for years, and small references to this show and that show, and it's like a big, because the show is never watched in succession the way it aired. So it's all like a big puzzle piece as you put it together, and it's just magnificent. It didn't really miss a beat when it went to Sci-Fi Channel, and there's just nothing I can say bad about the show. Let's see, except for I wasn't as big a fan as some when they started doing better movies, because I don't know, to me the worse the movie, the funnier it is. And sometimes you just get too caught up in the movie sometimes if it's actually fairly well done. I mean, I don't know, the worst, I mean, I need a Coleman Francis Side Hackers, or Skydivers, or Racket Girls, Manos, The Hands of Fate. And, you know, because sometimes I'm a little into like The Magic Sword, or one of the Godzilla films, or Danger Diabolic, even though they were still pretty funny the way they riffed on these movies. Anyway, this will be the first video, and I'll also catch up on how I felt the show progressed season by season. And I just love the show, and I hope if you do too, I hope you enjoyed watching this. One more thing, in case anybody from Best Brains watch this, I just want to say thank you for God, just the 10 years of that show, and you know, the years since then. I've had, you know, down days and sad days, and you know, days where I just need to cheer up, and I don't even have to watch an episode. All I have to do is just think about some stupid random line or joke in the show. Like I was thinking about the Loser song that was used in The Day the Earth Froze. I was just singing it at work for no random reason. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So thank you, MST3K, for making us laugh at love again. This is all I have to say right now. So I'll be doing these once a week. So until then, keep circulating the tapes.